Hi, Ashlin. Back again on our podcast here at Entrepreneurial Truth. We have Ashlin here with us, amazing mortgage broker. This is the second in our series, and we are talking about in this podcast episode about being a mom and being an entrepreneur, and getting to the level that you've gotten to. So, in the last one, we didn't really cover exactly how you balance work life and being a mom, a single mom. So I would love if you could dive into that for us.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me on for part two. It's really an honor to be here with you. Like I said, it's just really humbling to even be able to speak to you, but also to others who ever get into listening to this. So I appreciate the opportunity again. So being a single mom, I mean, wow, it's like I think when you first start to digest it, like I wasn't always a single mom. I just recently became a single mom the last 6 months. It wasn't something that I ever really expected. The thought of being a single mom was something that I fought against the grain for a really long time. I just think like when you're a mom, when as a woman we already have enough struggles, but being a mom, right, and being a wife and being the homemaker and also providing as a woman, I think there's so many stresses that come with that. And just trying to hold it all together. It was like you can't be a single mom. Like if you're a single mom, it's because you didn't take care of your marriage. So then you're like looking at it, it's like, okay, do I leave the relationship I'm in because it doesn't fit the life that we had planned, or because of whatever reason, or do I stay because if I don't stay then I failed, right? um so there's so much guilt talking about being a single mom, but I mean, navigating the waters. I mean, people say like, how's your work life balance? And if you talk to like the real people, they'll be like, there is no work life balance. It's
Mm-hmm.
really, really, really hard. I am very blessed. I have a huge support system. My mom is my number one supporter. I really would not be able to do anything without her. And then my full time assistant, in the office, and then my friends who really are my family, my closest circle, who help my mom. If my mom's running late, they'll help us pick up the kids because the kids go to school together. Or if I'm out of town, they're checking in on my mom and kids to see if everyone's okay.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
this morning I got a picture from like my best friend, um, of my oldest holding a puppy, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, thank you, Jesus. Like sometimes I'm just like, man, like I think so much happens at once, and it's still happening right now because, like I said, I just became a single mom, right?
Right.
That sometimes it's a little overwhelming, but work life balance doesn't really exist. I feel like I'm either 100% in my business, giving
Mm-hmm.
it full force because I am the sole provider for my household, right? For my kids. I don't get any financial support from the other side. Um, so it's my job. Like I gotta get up every morning. Like, we were talking about it before. Like I got up this morning to go to a golf tournament. I was already halfway there, an hour and 20 minutes from my house. And it ended up not being an event that would have been fruitful for my time. So I was like, okay, well, I'm sick enough that maybe I should go get checked today, right? And I probably should have been gotten checked like 10 days ago when I started getting sick. I show up to the office, and then from the office I'm going to go pick up my kids and we have a softball game. So the reality is like a work life balance is really, really hard. I feel like I'm either 100% grinding it out at work because I have to provide for my kids,
Mm-hmm.
or I feel bad for on the weekends not answering my cell phone sometimes because I'm burnt out, and I need some time with my kids, like my family, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
I feel like sometimes we just don't talk about it enough. But man, if somebody asked me like what the strongest avatar out there is, it would be the single mom.
Oh, love that. Love that. And I'm gonna chip in on that too. Um, from a single mom's perspective, I can't say that I have that perspective, but it was like in a previous conversation that we had off air. It's hard being a mom in general because I feel like you have the responsibility of being the entrepreneur, the mom, the homemaker, the driver, the chef. You wear so many different hats, right? As a parent in general, or involved parent, in your kid's life as a woman, right? So that wearing all of that plus being a single mom, I take my hats off, you know?
I think just parenting in general, and like thank you, because I know also like although you have your marriage, we talked about it. It's like we talked about off air. Like at the end of the day, you might have the best husband ever, and he might be a great homemaker also, right? When it's kind of like in the dating world, I've met a bunch of men now, right? And I met a guy and he was amazing, and he's like, when you're at 50, just say 50 and I'll bring the other 50, because it's not always 100%, right? Like sometimes
Right.
I'm gonna have to carry your load. And I've learned that like no matter what, you might have the best spouse, but at the end of the day, mom is mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, dad is gonna wipe the boogers, or grandma's gonna wipe the boogers, or whoever's gonna wipe the boogers, but they look for mom.
Right.
So, being a working mom, for example, and having sick kids, it's like, okay, do I go to the office and work, or
Mm-hmm.
do I stay from home and get behind? Because the reality is, I work in real estate, right? And I work in
Mm-hmm.
finance, but whether I'm a doctor, a nurse, an assistant, like the world doesn't stop. So there's really sometimes no mercy in a sense for having a sick kid.
Right.
Like I have a client right now that she's like, "You're sick again," and I'm like, "Well, I haven't stopped being sick. I'm sorry."
Yeah,
Like,
correct.
so there's so much. I feel like, excuse me. I feel like there's so much guilt. Like you already know. Like I have younger kids, and I know your kids are a little bit older, but I already know whose parents aren't going to show up to the school event.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like we already know which parents are going to be there. It's always kind of the same group of us because we're either self-employed or they have flexible jobs that allow us to be present.
Ah,
Um,
oh boy, I love that you. I'm gonna stop you there because I love that you just
stop me,
mentioned that.
stop me.
Listen, that must be the key takeaway with entrepreneurship is the flexibility to own your own schedule.
Yeah.
But but still understanding that if you take 2 hours right now to go pick up your kids from school, best believe 10 o'clock at night you're putting in those 2 hours, so you're working until 2 in the morning, but people don't see that.
Oh yeah. It's like the unsung hero. And I'm so passionate about this because look, you know, I I was in a relationship for 12 years. If you would have asked me today, like where I'm sitting right now, if I would have ever dreamed that this is what my life would look like, my answer would be no. I never expected to have kids with my ex and be in this situation today. And honestly, if I could go back and change some things in the past between us, I would say I wish we would have honored each other more. We would have respected each other more. I wish we would have put more emphasis on our family, and really more emphasis on the dreams we're going to push forward. Because when you're running together and people start to drift apart because the vision isn't the same, there's really hard to get back. But
Hmm.
like I was saying, um, yeah, nobody sees the hours on the back end. Like, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, super sexy. Like, that's a great hat to wear. But it's really not, because before I used to be the entrepreneur who was taking her laptop to Disney World.
Oh,
And I'm
oh,
pretty sure that put a dent in the marriage that I had.
oh,
Um,
yeah.
and I'm not proud of it. I'm not going to come back and say, like, but I had to produce because I know what it was like to be on welfare and food stamps. Like,
Hmm.
and you can't go back to that. So, like, we are the unsung heroes. And I would tell you, entrepreneurship, we started dabbling into it the other day. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not. Look, it's it's a constant mental battle. It's a constant, you know, imposter syndrome battle. And then, I've been traveling a lot in this season for work, and it's because know where I'm going and I know what I have to do to get to the next level. But, you know, open houses on the weekend and then family members telling you, oh, you work too much. And it's like, well, I mean, my kid was sick and we just spent the whole week in the hospital and I stayed with her,
Mm-hmm.
so the constant like work life balance and then being a single mom, throw that wrench into it. It's atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I tell people, I'm like, okay, even if you're not a single mom, like you're a mom and you work full time or you work part time, like my hat goes off to you. And
Mm-hmm.
also there are men that wear those hats, right? There are the single dads. I personally know a few that are single dads and the moms are not in the picture and they carry it on their own. And it's hard. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say like this is why like I tell everyone, I'm like, have grace with people
Right.
because you really don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Right.
Because I can tell you how many times I've woken up, I've cried, I'd have to shower, figure it out and take the kids to school and pull over in the parking lot and just work from there because there's so much to do. I can't even wait to get to the office.
Oh, no, no, no. I know. I can speak to that. I've been in the parking garage at the school and just sat there 2 hours, 3 hours, and I'm like, okay, finish sending this. And by the time I get to the bottom of the parking garage, I get a call. I have to drive back up, find a parking space to continue working. And it's those moments that you realize that nobody, if they're not doing it, they don't really understand what it looks like, what it feels like. And you
I
can't really explain that to someone. This is what being an entrepreneur means.
Yeah. Like the other day, someone shamed me. They're like, "You get your laundry done?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, yes, yes." I spend $40 to $60 every Monday, and that blue laundry bag is outside of my gate. Why? Because my kids deserve to have clean laundry, and I deserve to have clean laundry,
Right.
right? And then I had someone tell me like, "Oh, you're getting a cleaning lady?" I'm like, Yes."
Yeah, because you can't manufacture those hours. There's
I
no way to
I
manufacture those hours.
I cannot manufacture those hours. And when we start to literally say, like, I can't do it all, and you
Right.
learn to delegate, your life gets so much better. And I think, like, being a single mom has taught me that, like, also accepting help is okay.
Correct.
And I wish not, like I said, being a single mom is very new to me. And has its highs. No, it has more lows than highs, man. I won't lie to you. It has more lows than highs. But it's because we're trying to figure out the dynamic, right? Like,
Right.
it's just a different mindset. But like, if you talk to people, they will tell you the strongest people in the world are the single moms. And
Mm-hmm.
like, let's take it another step, not just the single moms. I have a lot of respect for us, but moms in general. Like, I think we need to take it from moms and then put it into women, right? Like,
Right.
I feel like there is so much power in being a woman. Like,
Right.
when we're having raw conversations and people are like, "Oh, you're such a V word," and I'm like, "Oh, no, women and V's are very, 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 very strong,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish that more women in our space, just being working moms or single moms or entrepreneurial moms, supported each other a little bit more.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Especially on platforms, social platforms, business platforms. I wish we would be our cheerleaders because we know the struggle is real.
Oh, the struggle is so real. Like, I feel like I will have a better shot at going after an agent who is a man. And whether it's because he's interested in what I look like or because he actually likes what I bring to the table versus a woman who I answer the phone that saw me 3 days ago at an event and is, "Oh, I love you. You're so great. Yes, yes, yes." And I call you to get together and you're like, I don't have time for you. And you click. I feel like, I wish women did a better job of lifting each other up. Like,
Oh,
we need that support. It's so funny. People will say like, "Oh, like, sometimes I think, if I was a lesbian, I would be happier." And I'm like, yeah, it just depends what you're looking for, right? But I understand because women to women struggle is so real. Like, you and I have had real and raw conversations about the struggle of
mhm.
being a mom. And we
Mhm.
love our kids. I would not change it for the world. I would not change my career. I would not change the decision to have my kids. I would not change anything in the past. But crap, I wish we had a little bit more grace. The other day, my youngest daughter, Alessia's teacher, sent home like a little demerit. And it was, see, that's the 2 o'clock alarm to go pick them up, but my mom's getting them today. Um, it was a little demerit that said like, please make sure you put back the reader.
For real?
Listen, I went to school, okay, the next morning like this with a little demerit. It's like, look like this, and I was like, "Oh, I just wanted to let you know I had slipped out of her folder."
Hmm.
But yes, didn't sign the demerit. I'll give it back to you. And she was like, "Oh, it's not a demerit." And I was like, "She's been sick. She's been out of school for 8 days. Um, I'm trying. I'm struggling. I have another kid. You know what I'm going through. Like, did you really need to send home the demerit? Like, that really stung me. That really stung. It really stung because it's already crazy enough that we gotta like pick them up from school and feed them and do homework. And oh, by the way, in my career, the hours that we work the most, forget the morning hours. We do a lot in
Oh,
the morning, but people typically want to speak to us after 5.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Like, even creating contents, setting up systems. I've, again, as we spoke about before, that is why I went into doing all these systems, creating these systems to ease the load, because there was no way. There was literally no way.
No. And then it's like, okay, wait, you were at work all day from 8 to 5.
Hmm.
I was also at work. I'm actually still at work half the time at 6:30.
Hmm.
And now you want me to cut into the time that I have with my kids.
Oh no, but they're not thinking like that, huh?
No, but they don't care. And then if you don't do it, your agent's yelling at you. And if your agent's yelling at you, then he's telling all his network of how horrible you are. And by
Right,
the way, I don't get a salary. I'm a full 100% commission. So then
right.
that means I might have to be playing with my kids' livelihood, which means they can't go to their private school, which at this point is a part of their life.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the pressure of being a woman, and then I've heard it. Oh, it's because you were picking up your kids, wasn't it? Well, shit. Yes. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that the private bus didn't pick up my, like, no, and I feel like being a woman itself and being just a provider and also being like that homemaker is so challenging. I cooked a meal, home cooked meal for the first time last week in like 3.5 months.
Wow.
And it,
Perspective, right?
yep.
Perspective.
And and man, I love to cook for my family because I feel like one of the most selfless acts is to come home after a long day and create a homemade from scratch meal for the people you love and share the meal with them.
Right.
And being a single mom has also given me a lot of perspective in this time. Um, Many years of chaos stole a lot of joy from me.
Mm.
And when I talk about joy, I talk about the joy of my kids' childhood. Because when you're constantly in that mindset of I'm just trying to survive, but nothing is really working. I'm not happy with myself. I'm not happy with the things at home. It all becomes a really big cloud.
Right.
Now, being a single mom, out of the perspective that I was in before, I have now enjoyed motherhood probably the most that I ever have.
You have a greater appreciation for it.
I have such an appreciation for it. So, yeah, I'll take some phone calls on Saturdays and Sundays, but I'm out with my kids. I'm out making up time that I think I didn't have before. And
Hmm.
even if I did have it before, I wasn't mentally there.
Now, let me ask you really quick. Do you think that you're able to focus more because you've reached another revenue goal? Or do you think you're able to focus more because of both the situation being lifted, whatever negativity it was that you had in your life, and now the revenue goals that you've now hit?
I feel like it's a mix of both. It's kind of a crazy conversation I was having with someone that recently came into my life. It's a really good friend, and her and I were having a conversation. I said, "Man, like I built this in a bad mental state.
Ooh.
Like I built my business in probably the lowest of the low of my life." I said, "What am I going to be capable of now?"
That's what I was just thinking. What does it look like now? Now that you're not in that space.
And I think I'm going through the final shift right now, like
Mhm.
the stress, right? The stress of the unknown, the stress of all the back end things, the stress of having to, kiss your kids at night and say, "Hey, I know daddy's not here, but he still loves you and, we'll always love him." And, you pray for the people that you love. Um, and that it's not always going to look like this, right? But I think now that you lift, like, I guess the blanket, right?
Mhm.
And I've had to take a step back. I can now say, like, I built this in the worst timing of my life and I was doing it. Um, I'm getting ready to really gear up and build this in the best time of my life
Mm. The
because
second version.
it's version 2, and it's so funny because I've been saying 2.0 for some time, and I feel like every time I go to like take the next launch I get sick. And I know I've been sick, literally we've been sick for the last month. um But I also think that by being sick, I've been able to slow down. I've been able to enjoy my kids. I've been able to enjoy my home. I mean, I can be 100% honest with you. I would go home and basically sleep there and leave, and I was never home. Never, ever, ever home. And it's weird to be home now. Like, it's weird to have a house that you live in. Um, so yeah, no, hitting the next level is going to be interesting because I know I'm there. I know I'm at the pinnacle of my career. I know that, I'm a firm believer, and I tell everyone, I'm like, hey, the best days are ahead of you. And truly, the best days are ahead, not just for everyone, but also for me. And I think what gets so exciting and is so powerful is that if I help so many people throughout the darkest time of my life, I'm going to help so many more people in probably the up and up in my life.
Right.
The mission is so clear, the purpose is so clear, the intention is so clear, my motivation behind it is so clear. Like, you know, I was at Target yesterday with my kids and my best friend, and and I said, I'm trying. I said, I'm really, really trying. And Valentina turned around, my oldest, she turned around, she said, Mom, you're not trying, you're the best mom ever.
Oh,
And man, it's kind of like a full circle moment when you've been praying for like a sign for a really long time that you're going to be okay.
mm-hmm.
And I said, I went to sleep last night and I was like, okay, thank you, God, because I knew I was on the right track. When it's not just you, right? It's not just you emotionally. You're talking about your little kids and all the external factors. You never know if you're doing a good job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, between the demerit for dropping her book in the backpack and not always being on time to school and picking them up and homework and making a decision to leave a relationship that wasn't serving me. There's a lot of guilt that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very full circle moment because it was in that minute that I needed to hear something that I didn't know that I needed to hear. And I'm excited for the days that are ahead of us because the truth is the best is yet to come.
Absolutely.
So I am. I'm excited. I built this, like I said, I built this in the worst of my life. I built it in the trenches, and I'm going to build it now and the come up. And like I said, the vision is so clear, the motivation so clear, and the excitement of knowing where we're going and how many people we're going to help on the journey. It really just gives a newfound perspective. And it's not perfect, right? Like, it's not perfect. I'm currently working on a file from hell. Like, I can't wait till it closes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I know that our intentions are always good. My heart is always in the same place, and we'll get knocked down. We'll get knocked down on the way up because it always happens. And as an entrepreneur, it happens, and as a single mom, it's going to happen. And there's going to be a curveball that comes in and smacks us in the face. Um, but we'll get a croqueta and some coffee, and we'll thug it out. We'll keep moving forward. And I think we need just more people to be able to say like, hey, life is happening. Throw me a wrench, throw me a buoy. Um, I need some help. I think, sometimes that saying like, check on your strong friends is so true.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Because sometimes I've needed people just to say with like, hey, I know you're going through some stuff. I'm here. Even if you don't need to talk, just know I'm here. And that helps.
No, absolutely. And I love that bit of advice, check on your strong friends because it's always the friends that you think can overcome and uh, accomplish and tackle that may just need the help, may just need a word of advice, just may need someone there that they can speak to about whatever it is that's going on because they're not necessarily the ones to share. Right?
Peeking light into that really quick. There is a realtor. I'm in the Miami area, but I finance all of Florida. There's a realtor in Orlando. Her name is Abby. She knows exactly who she is. I don't have to give her last name. And she started posting about being a single mom, and we aligned a lot. Like I said, social media has become a really big platform for me to network, but also make friends, right? Even if you're
Mm-hmm.
on the same zip code. And she's sharing about being finally. She really starts openly sharing about being a single mom. And one night at like 2 in the morning, I'm in my bathroom crying. The girls are in my bed, and I shoot her a DM, and she's up. And I'm like, hey, like, I know we've talked a little bit here and there, but like, what is it like being a single mom? And she's like, it's the best and worst thing I ever did. And I still wasn't fully separated. And I was like, I think this is the route I'm going down, but I'm really scared. And I know that it's just a matter of time before either he gets up and leaves or I get up and leave. And a stranger was sitting with me in her bedroom while I was sitting on the bathroom floor in my house, 300 miles away from each other. Um, and man, she gave me the best advice and she poured into me that night.
Wow.
And I just remember, and then when everything started, I told her, I was like, hey, this is what I'm going through. And she's like, stay strong,
Mm-hmm.
push through. She's like, look at me, I'm on the other side. He told me I would never make it without his income. He told me I would. And then it was like,
Ooh.
I remember being told I was going to have no stability either. And I wasn't going to be able to make it. And shit, there were some times where I had to say, like, hey, mom, like, help me. My
Mm-hmm.
check is delayed. But having her just be able to be vulnerable and honest with me during those moments was so important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think we need more of that. I think we need more of just being vulnerable and being there for each other, whether you're a single mom or a working mom. That I just think that's really important.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I know in one of our first conversations together, I was telling you that just you sharing so openly and like freely about everything that you've been through, like from start to finish, has really motivated me and given me, the courage to even speak about a lot of the things that I've been through. And I know on this podcast, I ask you a lot of questions and I don't exactly open up a lot about what I'm going through. But even in things that I'm recording for future purposes, I am opening up more. And it's really good to know that when you do, you're helping someone else, right? Because it's so easy to be consumed in those feelings of hurt, anxiety, or whatever it is that you're going through and not want to share because sometimes it's embarrassment, sometimes it's whatever it is you're going through, right? And it leads you not to want to share
Yeah.
because a lot of the times, well, for me, I can say for me, it was a lot of I don't want to be judged. I don't want people to not see me in this specific way, or I felt like it was just easier to just not share. But again, hearing you share a lot of the stuff, I'm like, oh, come on.
It's the imposter syndrome we spoke about. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm this big alpha. Like, everyone sees me as like, Ashlin's got it all. Ashlin's got it all. And it's like, how am I gonna come out saying now like I have a failed marriage?
Right.
Whether it's his fault or mine, like somebody's gonna have an opinion on it. Somebody's gonna say I should have done something better. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, the kids, what do you did? What, how dare, like, and it's like she's this great, great broker, but her home life is a mess. Like, who really wants to be judged like that? Or like,
Right.
wow, you could have gone for more marital and parenting classes for you guys to work out your problems. Like, how many times was I told just suck it up? Like, this is who you
Exactly.
chose. And it's like, yeah, a lot of it is embarrassment. Like, who wants to be this strong, powerful woman who when she goes home, she's falling apart? Like, so I feel like if we had more genuine, open forum conversations where it's, hey, I'm a mom, I'm married, I love my husband, but we struggle with our work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Or hey, I'm a single mom and I don't do it all and I don't have it all together and I have meltdowns and I probably cry sometimes more than my 4-year-old when my kids are asleep. But I still got to get up and do it. And just knowing that there's like other women out there that cry maybe just as much as I do, but they still get up and like we just need people to be like, hey, like I'm human too and I'm here for you, you know?
Exactly. And give grace, 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 grace.
Grit and grace, my friend.
Well, Ashlyn, for today, I appreciate you coming on as usual. Thank you so much for sharing your heart.
Thank you.
Um, I know whoever is watching this is going to enjoy it as usual. And I will see you on the next one.
Can't wait. I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about.
Awesome.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks.